good, kings, queens, everything in betweens? Welcome back to another episode of the Peasant Party Podcast. I am your host, Charlotte Warren, and to my right, I've got one of my favorite guests in the universe here with me. Do you want to say what's up?
Hey everybody, my name's Buddy.
Who are you?
I am Charlotte's boyfriend.
He's been here before.
Yeah.
He's a returner. What's new with you?
Not much. I'm here for the next 17 days. So
Hooray.
yeah, I come every summer for like 2 weeks, so it's nice.
Yeah. What are you most excited for?
We're going to see Flatline Calvary next Thursday, so that's pretty exciting. And just being able to hang out.
Yep,
that's it.
Celebrate the 4th of July, America's birthday.
Yep.
We don't know what we're doing yet. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I actually wanted to ask, because I feel like something that you do, because fun fact, he has somewhat of a TikTok presence himself. A lot of times it's just talking about whatever interesting question, non-controversial controversies that somehow become controversies, and just like, I don't know, train of thought type questions. And I thought, in my opinion, like first date questions that are fun, kind of out of pocket, are good things to do. And I thought maybe you could share some of these interesting questions that you share on your own TikTok account that would make good first date questions.
I don't think you should ask questions on a first date. I think you should talk.
Okay.
I think that's where a lot of people make a mistake, is that they go in like it's an interview instead of like, and that's not organic. Like everyone puts on a face for an interview and has like a way that they answer certain questions so that they don't offend anybody. I think it's better just to like talk and let conversation go, and then as the conversation's going, you can like elaborate or ask questions about things that they say. Like instead of saying like, what do you do, start talking about your day, and naturally probably work will come up, and like, oh well, how long have you been doing marketing or whatever their job is, and like let your conversation grow so it's more natural. I think that's why a lot of people like strike out in dating, is because they're like, the person has to look like this, they have to have these assets, they have to answer the questions right. They have this checklist in their mind, and life doesn't really work that way. When you look for that, you're never going to find someone that checks every box.
Yeah, that was a good answer, and you're not wrong.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I do think there's some fun like filler questions that you can throw in. I don't know, like if there's ever a lull, like would you rather fight 100 ducks or horse-sized ducks, or duck-sized horses that are sized as ducks, or like, I don't know.
Would you rather fight 100 ducks? Would you rather fight 100 horses that are the size of a duck, or one duck the size of a horse? That's the way it's.
Yeah, like those questions. I don't know. Those are goofy.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, like, you're not really finding anything out about the person based on that.
That's true. Icebreakers. Yeah. So you're not a fan of icebreaker questions?
I just think you should just talk to people. I mean, these days you're not like, you don't have, it's very rare that you have zero info about the person going into the date. You've usually met them on an app or mutual friends, so you know something about them. You know where they work, you know what they like to do. You've had like texting conversations or phone calls, FaceTimes prior to your first date. It's like there's already like some sort of idea of like what conversations can be like. You probably already know that they work at wherever, and so you can kind of like just start conversations. I don't think that like icebreaker questions are that necessary. I mean, if you're doing like speed dating or something, sure, but like there's certain questions that you can ask in job interviews and stuff like that when you're interviewing, when you're the interviewee or interviewer, I guess, that actually tell you about the way people think. Maybe those, like they say that a good one is, if you could choose a superpower, would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? And you want the candidate to say fly, not be invisible.
Interesting.
But the way that they answer it is more important. So like if they say like, I wish I could fly, I would never be in traffic, I would be able to like get more done, blah, 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 then you're like, okay, this person is thinking about how they can be more productive in their day. If someone says like, I'd rather be invisible because I want to be able to see like what people are saying in a room without me there, that's not like a character trait that you want in an employee. You don't want someone that's thinking like sneakily or thinking negatively about those around them. If you had someone that said like, I'd want to be invisible so that I could move throughout my day and be more efficient and not have to like stop and do this or whatever, that would be an acceptable answer. But like the way that people answer those types of questions, maybe, but like a lot of the silly stuff that people say on TikTok and online, I think is exactly that, silly.
I agree. And I do agree that how you answer is more important than what the answer is. Like how they get to that conclusion. Because there's like a lot of ways that you can justify something that on the surface is not a good answer and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah. I think a fun question, another fun question I have is, okay, summertime is a time for what I think is like a chill time of dating. I mean, granted, people are bouncing around, going on vacations. Like maybe people don't want to necessarily like settle down or get into a relationship immediately. But something I've seen is just it's a good time for like dates. I think there's a lot more options than say like in the winter. There's a lot more you can do outside. And I think a lot more you can do on the cheap in the summer. So I guess my question for you is if someone you have $20, only $20, you're going on a first date. First date can really be anything. You have all of the resources you have at your own house. What is the best like first date you can plan for $20 between the two of you?
I mean, I am a huge fan of coffee dates. Mm-hmm. You can get coffee and coffee and like walk around any park, or coffee and a picnic. Like, I mean, you can't get a lot of food, but like you can sit somewhere with like some water, coffee, talk. Mm-hmm. You can buy a 6-pack of seltzers or beer if that's what you like to drink and sit in the park and talk. But I mean, you can't really do much with $20 other than park, walk, coffee, ice cream, something of those sorts.
Okay. I was going to say it's like a good time to look at like the apps because we like something we follow on Instagram is like the everything going on in Austin, like events. Mm-hmm. Like look up when like free, I would say my first date, if there's no alcohol, go on free museum day. You get 2 coffees for the 2 of you. And then you do like a walk through the museum.
Depending on where you live, if I only had $20, I would give my date $10. I would take $10. We would go to a casino and see who can turn their $10 into the most.
See, that's fun.
That would be a fun date.
That would.
Yeah.
One of my friends in college, like his go-to first date, and it wasn't, he like sounded so much more romantic than it was. And it would be like at nighttime too. So like you couldn't really see his, let's go get a bottle of wine and watch the stars. And then he would just get like a bottle of $2 chocolate. I couldn't tell how much like it was. They would go to like a relatively lit area. I think he went to like Arizona State. He had a picnic blanket, and he seemed like the most romantic person in the world and spent $2.
Yeah. I mean, you want something where you can talk ultimately, but I think having something like a game is fun. Another cool date idea that I think is really fun is like pick a easygoing restaurant, nothing like super fancy. Mm-hmm. And then give each other $20. Like each person gets a $20 limit, and then go to like a Walmart or a Goodwill and buy an outfit for the other person. And you have to wear whatever they buy you on your date.
That's fun.
So like they could pick something absolutely ridiculous for you, but then they have to sit at dinner with you also. So like, you know, but yeah, I think that would be really fun too.
Nice.
You can buy a whole outfit at Goodwill, probably not Walmart anymore, but you can buy a whole outfit at Goodwill for $20, and then you go on dates in your Goodwill outfits. I think that would be fun too.
I would do that date with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it tonight. No.
Maybe. Another good date idea, and it's from, if you look at your hat, what hat are you wearing?
This is a Charleston River Dogs hat.
Yeah. And that's a minor league baseball team. I think minor league baseball games make for good dates. Like there's always like cheap ticket days, or there's like dollar beer days. I feel like they do way more. Like,
yeah, I agree. We've been to Round Rock Express, and we've been to the Charleston River Dogs. And minor league is like tiered also. So like the River Dogs is a really small stadium, really small team. But it was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But like a Round Rock Express game is basically an MLB. I mean, it's not quite as big, but like they have tons of concession options, and it's a giant stadium, big lawn you can sit on in the back and everything too. So yeah, that's a good option.
Yeah. Is doing a happy hour first date a faux pas? Like specifically going and saying it's happy hour, which basically acknowledges the pricing of it.
This is kind of like happy hour, or like when people say like using gift cards or coupons on a date. I think that like kind of falls into the same category of question. I think if you are the type of person that likes happy hours or is going to pull out the gift card or whatever, and that's your personality, it's okay. If they don't like it, they're not going to like it. You know what I mean? But like I mean, you know this about me. Anyone who's heard me talk on here probably knows this, but I'm all for, like, you should not try to impress with what you're doing or how much you're spending on the first date. You should be yourself, let your personality speak, because, you know, I mean, our first date was having margaritas and chips and salsa.
It was supposed to be coffee.
Yeah, but the coffee shop was closed.
Yeah.
And now it's an incredibly expensive restaurant.
Yes, it is. That was, yeah, I have like my video of like, don't do a marathon first date, and we technically did that.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you met me for the first time picking me up from the airport for a weekend, so yes.
Yes.
But I think, like, you love happy hours. So if you were taking someone on a date to a happy hour, that's indicative of your personality and who you are. So if they're like, happy hours are for the poors and they're not going to do it, it's probably not someone that you care to be with anyway.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
You should. I definitely am not a fan of like hiding things about yourself on a first date. Like when people are like, you don't talk about religion, or you don't talk about politics, or you don't talk about whatever. Why? You're going to talk about it anyway, eventually.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you're just going to get more invested. And then you're going to have your heart broken when you find out, you know, 6 months down the road, and now you're in love with somebody, and now you have a hard decision to make on your own. I mean, I don't think you should come out and be like, I am, you know, whatever, Republican, Democrat, I believe in anti this, pro this, and like lay it out on the table that way. But like, I don't think you should shy away from those things.
And if you're like a very political person, those things come up naturally. Like people that are like obsessed with politics, they're like, that comes up.
Sure. I mean, like, even like the memes and stuff that you share with each other, like, God, if people saw the memes that we sent back and forth.
Our memes are unhinged.
They are, all because of Dom. Mostly because of Dom.
Yes.
But shout out Dom. You want to have similar interests. So like, you also find out if someone is like far, like I could date someone that doesn't have the same political views as me on every topic. I've made a video about this on my TikTok. I got flamed. People were like, that's stupid, whatever. That's because people think in like the far extremes of it. I couldn't date someone that is far right. I couldn't date someone that is far left. Because I'm neither of those things. Yeah. You know, like I'm all for being open-minded about like conspiracy theories, but I also don't want to date like a flat earther that's like dead set. It's all they talk about. Like I don't know, but I think like finding out where someone lands isn't a bad thing, especially if it's important to you.
I agree. So something like I've seen like women talk about is that they hear like men do on first dates is the guy who like adamantly is like, I'm not paying for dates because then it will set the tone that going forward I pay for everything. And they do that like from date one, like I'm not like if I pay for date number one, she's going to expect me to pay for everything going forward. How do you feel about people who do that, and do you think that that is a accurate plan? Do you think that like if someone pays for a first date, then they're automatically expected to pay for everything? Like, do you agree with, like, what's your understanding of that logic?
I don't think that that is the case, that if you pay for the first date that you pay for everything. I do think that when someone feels that way, it's probably because they've been burned before. Yeah. So like, if you have had someone that the understanding is that like you are a partnership, which is my understanding, like I don't think I've ever Venmo'd you money for anything, and vice versa. Like we just, whoever pulls their card out happens to get it. You got my coffee this morning. I got dinner last night, I think I did. Yeah, I did. So, but I think that some people go into this expecting like the type of relationship that we have with who pays for things, and then they realize that like, oh, I'm swiping all the time. And the expectation goes from like this level of restaurant to this, to like we have to step up to like seeing people online spending more money and getting nicer and more expensive things. How come we don't do this? So then like they're spending more money and more money and more money. Then they get burned by that. So then maybe they're like more sensitive to it. So then they're like, I'm not doing that in the future because in the past it burned me. I think men are very learn from the mistake and try to like set themselves up to not get burned by it again. I don't see paying for, because my idea of a first date is not anything expensive. So like to me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's like
I actually don't even. I'm trying to think back. It's been so long now, but you might have paid for our first date.
So, I think the margarita was so. Because I'm trying to think back to that weekend. Like I do like, for example, I also think it's also like there's a flow to things, and I think sometimes when people are like, oh, they have to pay for everything, they like kind of fuck up the flow of how the date's going. But like when we went to Salt Lick, something like I do remember is you were in line for the food. We brought Dolly dog, so I'm sitting outside, and then the beer truck was right there, and I said, oh, I'll grab the beers, and there wasn't any like, like early dating, like he's not paying for everything. It was just that's what helped the flow of the date. You were inside getting food. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people think that somebody needs to earn them instead of them trying to earn somebody. And I think that when you are interested in somebody and having a mutually beneficial relationship, that's the way that you think. Like, oh, well, while you're in line, I'll go do this thing so that when you're done,
we have beers.
We have beer and food.
Yeah.
Instead of going like, I'm going to go sit here and wait and do nothing, play on my phone while he does everything. And then the food's going to get cold, flies. You know, that doesn't make sense. But some people think like, well, I am such a catch that this person needs to earn me, men and women. But if they were such a catch, they'd probably be snagged up already.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the biggest things that is hard for people to understand is that like, you might not be as much of a catch as you think you are. Yeah.
Well, 100%. And I also think, like it also just lives in the extreme. It's either like I'm the prize, or it's like if I'm not doing I'm the prize, I have to be kissing their feet as they walk, kissing the ground they walk on.
Yeah.
And it's one or the other. It's like, no, there's a line between confidence and just being a jackass.
You should always treat the person that you're dating like a prize.
Yeah.
Like you want to win in the relationship too. You don't just want the other person to win. You don't. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Like you want your relationship to be something that's mutually exciting for both people. So I think that like, I don't know. I've never understood like the paying for things. Like when we went to Charleston, we spent how long? 6 days? 7?
Yeah.
We spent a while in Charleston. Had a lot of fun, but like, I mean, we spent a lot of money, but I don't, it was never like you paid for the rental car. So I did feel like I needed to like pay probably for more things so that was less of like I felt like I did feel like I needed to like even the playing field a little bit because you paid for that, but it was like your trip also.
Yeah.
Like I was joining, but yeah, I'd never once think like, I've swiped my card like 6 times in a row.
It comes back. Yeah, it comes back around. I've always been like it comes back around person. Like I don't know. I don't want to like split. I hate splitting checks like at restaurants.
I do it with my friends. Like I the same thing. Like when the guys come over and we're grilling out, I go to the grocery store and I'll spend $150 on ribs, brisket, all the sides, drinks for everybody because they're coming to my place. So I stock the fridge. I buy all the food. I cook all the food. And I've never one time asked anybody for money. But if they happen to be going by the store, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I was looking for a bottle of tequila that they don't sell in the county that I'm in for whatever reason. I texted a friend and said, hey, if you go to the liquor store, will you just see if they have Lalo? I think it's Lalo tequila. It's a great additive-free tequila. Shout out Lalo, sponsor me. But They don't sell it where I'm at. He picked me up a bottle. It's $49.99. He gave me the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll Venmo you for it. He's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not like I really think that like a measure of your friendship, I'm not saying that you should just give your friend $50, but like a lot of times you don't think of things like that.
Yeah, you're just they're my friend. They always will be. It'll come back around.
Yeah. Like back to Dom, like I got Dom a shirt at the Knocked Loose concert that I went to because he couldn't go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I even like ever Venmo requested him for it, but he's bought me so much, whether it be food or whatever, that like you said, it all comes back around. It all comes out in the wash. It's not, I think whether it's your friendships, your relationships, whatever the case is, you will be so much happier if you just like relieve the expectation. Mm-hmm. But I do think that it has to be mutual. Everybody in your group has to feel that way.
Yeah. And I think so many dating questions, like a big question you should ask yourself too is like, would I treat a friend like this, or would I be okay with a friend doing this to me? Like, I think that so many dating questions for yourself of like, should I put up with this, or should I, like, is this the right thing to do, could be solved if you asked yourself that question. Like, I wouldn't put up with, like, if a friend kept like, I don't know, if a friend ghosted me, right, basically, and just didn't show back up, and then they just kind of pop back up at a time that I, like, they disappeared at a time where maybe I needed them, I'd be annoyed. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, hey, what's good? I'd be like, you okay? Like, where'd you go? I don't know.
Yeah, if you wouldn't be friends with someone, you probably shouldn't date them.
Yeah.
Not saying you have to be friends first, but
yeah.
Yeah. I would never have a friend just because they were attractive. I would never have a friend just because they had money.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't date anybody because of the same reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listener question. And I've been kind of asking like what feels like semi-listener questions up until now. But yeah, the first one I have, though, is there a deeper meaning to someone saying they didn't feel a spark when rejecting you after a date? I ask for more feedback, but they often don't elaborate. Is there any way I can change this with future dates? I get this excuse often enough where I'm the common denominator, and I'd like to change this.
Two things. One, I think that's an easy out. I think it's a cop-out to say you didn't feel a spark.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes people say that in replacement for, like, they didn't like you, or there was something, but, like, maybe you weren't as attractive as they thought, or
mm-hmm.
you just didn't mesh very well. Mm-hmm. And so instead of putting you down and saying, like, mm-hmm. you're ugly, they just say there wasn't a spark, because mm-hmm. that seems less hurtful. Or what they mean by spark is it wasn't exciting, or it wasn't, they didn't feel special. Mm-hmm. So if you feel like it's the latter, then maybe think about how you can make your date feel more special.
Okay. I think like the spark can go either way. Like I think it can be a cop out. But I do think like, especially if it's a first date, a lot of times like, you didn't feel it, but you just can't articulate what it was. Like when I think back to dates where I didn't feel a spark, and I don't think I ever like used the spark excuse like I think maybe I did. But at the time, like maybe looking back now, it's kind of like, okay, this thing, now that you can notice patterns, but there was just something not there. Like they were attractive enough for me to be on the date with them. They had, all the other things checked out, but there was just something about it wasn't fun. I don't know. Something.
So I'm saying they didn't make you feel special.
Yeah.
It just wasn't it.
Yeah.
Even if it looks like they checked enough boxes, something didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And that happens, I think. I do think like a way to like maybe, because there's no way you can like force a spark. I do think there are certain dates that feel, I don't know, like make your dates feel a little, like I don't want to say spicier because that sounds like too horny, but like I think there's something to be said for choosing a place or an idea that feels more romantic.
I think doing things that are memorable, that are small, are an easy way to create a spark.
Okay.
Like if you're a guy that's going to pick up the check, mm-hmm. don't wait for the check to be brought to you. Mm-hmm. If your date goes to the bathroom, when they go to the bathroom, just give the server your card then. Mm-hmm. Just say, like, at the end of our meal, just bring me the slip to sign. Mm-hmm. And think that, like, they're like, oh, well, thank you. Mm-hmm. Instead of an expectation of, like, bring the check and pay it. Mm-hmm. I think that's something small that's memorable. If they don't go to the restroom, you go to the restroom, find your server. Mm-hmm. Give them. I did that in Charleston when we went to
Tusk.
No.
The
place that we thought was a club that just had the fire alarm going off.
Oh yeah.
whatever it was called,
Yeah.
bourbon and bubbles.
Bubble bourbon, yeah.
Yeah, and I just went and we only had appetizers and like a drink each, so I just went and found the guy, and which that ended up being a great situation because he gave us access to the little place next door too.
Yeah.
But like something like that, opening their door for them, complimenting them if they look nice, tell them they look nice. I think sometimes guys take like giving a compliment way too far. They say like, you look hot, or like, you look pretty, or, you know, maybe the girl has a low cut dress on and they say like, I like your dress. That might make the girl think like, does he like my dress, or does he like the fact that my boobs are in his face? So just saying like, you look nice, or you smell great is another great one. You smell great. I think starting your date with a non-physical compliment, and I know looking nice is a physical compliment, but it's not, or, you know, something like that. Compliment something really simple. I think that is something that they'll remember because it's your first impression. I think that paying for the tab is, in the way that you do it, can be, you know, great as well. Always treat your servers great. I think that's not necessarily a way to create a spark, but doing the opposite will ruin it. You could have somebody that's great, but if they treat their server like crap, you're like, oh my gosh, it's embarrassing when you're with someone that talks to, you know, the staff that way. So yeah.
I think I'd agree with all of that, and I think choosing like a place like, I don't know, I think like the coffee / bar combo is a good spot. Like I think something that feels like more elevated, adulty. Like a lot of the times like those places aren't like crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But like choose the interesting kind of cool coffee place over like a Starbucks.
Yeah, or like the hole in the wall place that you've never been.
Like something that has kind of like there's some places that just feel more romantic. I don't know. Something
like
that.
Being able to add value to that person in that way. So like we were talking about a bar last night that neither of us have been to because it's up north, but like we're going to go. But like instead of going to the bar that everyone's at, it's the most popular bar in Austin, find a hole in the wall bar, find like a small bar that has a cool vibe, or somewhere that maybe a band is going to be, or something that like is going to be a unique experience versus like what's the biggest, coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like I would rather, like, I mean, we're going to be out of town for my birthday, but like for my birthday, I would rather you be like, we're going to go to dinner at this really cool place. And it could be a hole in the wall shack with really good food. I don't care if it's $1,000 and it's jam packed and impossible to get a reservation. I'd rather have the experience that like I've never had before. You know, I think that like finding like the little small things like that make it memorable. I think that's more of like what a spark is. You'll see girls online talk about that. Like the date was okay, but like I just could not stop thinking about him for like the next 4 days. He did this and this and this, and it just like kept popping in my mind. And you want to be memorable because a lot of people are talking to or dating multiple people.
Yeah, exactly. Follow, if I know foodie bloggers and influencers get a bad rap, but like your local foodie bloggers / around the town influencer, because they always seem to know of like what's a new place that just opened up. They can show you what the food and drinks look like what the setup looks like.
Who's the best one in Austin?
We like David Douglas a lot.
He's the best.
Big fans.
He's the best.
He could be a guest on this. We would love to have him.
David Douglas, if you see this clip, this will be a clip. David Douglas, you are our favorite food influencer. We've went back and forth in DMs a couple times. You need to be on the Peasant Party.
Yes.
He'd be a great
like first. What's a good first date idea?
Yeah. Or
you should read audio.
What are the best spots? He would be great.
He'd be great.
Yep.
My next question. This is a fun one. This will be Is it wrong to only want to date women under 30 if you are over 30?
No.
Okay. I think, the only thing that's truly wrong is people that are under 18, if it's not consensual, or if there's some sort of weird power imbalance built in. Like if you're a teacher, don't go dating your students.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can like whatever you like within the limits of the law. If you have a reason for that, whatever, it's what you're attracted to. I don't see any difference. I also think that there's someone said this to me one time, that if you are single and have not been in a committed relationship past, I don't want to say or don't remember which age it was, that it's very unlikely that you will ever be in a committed relationship because so much of your life is set.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you are 37, 38, 40, whatever it is, you've been single, maybe you've dated, but you haven't been in like a year-long relationship, you always eat where you want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You always clean your clothes when and how you want. You put the dishes away how you want. You run the kitchen in your household how you want. You come and go. Your gym schedule, work schedule is all centered around you. And at some point, you've lived so much of your adult life
on your own terms
that it's going to be very hard for you to squeeze someone in and for that relationship to work, for you to put someone else into your life in a way that's mutually beneficial, like we said.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I think that's something, like when I think of people maybe that I know from TikTok or that I follow that kind of are, you know, late 30s, single, and they've kind of done, like it seems to be that their biggest struggle. Some of them realize it, some of them don't.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is how I go about my life, and then the person they want, you know, not only do they have like their list of traits, but it's like on top of that, that person has to fit into exactly what they like to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, whenever you break up with me, I will be set up for my next relationship really well in those senses because, you know, I don't mean sacrifice, but like I come into a completely foreign environment like every 3 to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I come into your house, your schedule, like, and I think that we do a good job of like working together, but like I don't have that, like, this is how I do it every day.
Yeah.
Thing. I mean, at home I do, but not when I'm here.
Yeah.
When I'm here, I think it's a learning adjustment for both of us to, you know, and I think we did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking up with you. I'm not doing that. Big cornball. Yeah, I know. 30. I think the one thing, like when people have preferences around ages, the thing that gets you into trouble is when you start saying, I don't like, you start like insulting the people that you don't want. Because I think,
well, the problem with that statement is that women see that as an insult instead of a preference.
I think, well, a lot of times when people state this preference, they also include all the things they don't like about women over 30. And a lot of times in a way that is condescending.
That's okay.
You're allowed to
it's
like.
It's no different than a woman saying she doesn't want to date a man that is shorter than her.
And sometimes women say mean stuff when they say that, and it's not okay.
But even if they say, like, even if it's legitimate reasons, it's only taken as an insult by people that don't fit that category. Like a 25-year-old woman doesn't see a man saying that they only date women under 30 as an insult. Only women 30 and over see that as an insult.
If someone said I only date women under 30, that's totally fine. But I think women would see this as like frustrating no matter their age. I think men would see if I went on a rant saying like I can't stand guys under 5'10", you're 6'2", and I started saying all this like unattractive and awful stuff like, oh, like look at these like short dudes, and like it would probably turn you off because I would sound negative and
no, I wouldn't care because it doesn't affect me.
But the way you like talk about a person negatively, like I think is like that says a lot about you.
Yeah, but that's talking negatively about anybody. But you're talking about why it's your preference.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a difference between talking about why it's your preference and then talking about your preferences in a way that seems like mean-spirited. And a lot of people fall into that trap.
Then you're talking about something different. You're talking about someone who's mean, not someone that has a dating preference.
Yeah, but
that's different.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is like where people get into trouble is how they communicate their preferences. They can do like a lot of people have a way of doing it in a way that's mean or trying to like make jokes at people's expense versus just saying this is my preference and this is why I like what I like.
We're having two different conversations here. I'm saying that like if you said I don't like dating men that are short, like not you because you are short, but like Cameron Brink. Do you know who that is?
No.
She's one of the WNBA rookies. Right now.
Oh yeah.
I don't. She's a tall, pretty blonde. I don't know how tall she is. Let's say she's 6 foot tall, probably in that realm. If she says I don't like dating men shorter than me because I feel insecure about how tall I am already, that makes me more insecure because I'm short. They're shorter than me. I feel like I can't wear heels. I don't like the way that pictures look, or what, like, and she lists those reasons. Those can be legitimate reasons for her to have that preference that she can communicate well, but men that are shorter than her are going to feel like that's an insult. If a guy says, I don't want to date a woman that's over 30 because of X, Y, and Z, and lists his reasons, a woman over 30 might see legitimate reasons as an insult because it's something that disqualifies them. None of us want to be disqualified for whatever reason. We don't like hearing the things about ourselves. It's just human nature.
Yeah. I don't know. I heard a good answer that the guy had to that. Like, it was just, he basically just said, like, early 30s guy, which I think there's a difference between guy early 30s wants to date women under 30 versus, like, guy, like, 50s, 60s. It's kind of like, where'd that preference come from? But, yeah, his answer was basically just, I've worked really hard. I'm not ready to settle down. Anybody that's people that are over 30, like women over 30, they want to move quickly, and they, you know, I'd be the asshole that wasted their time if this went for 3 months and it was like, you know, I'm not ready. Like, women 24 to 27, like, I don't get the, you wasted my time, how dare you?
Sure.
Things don't work out. And
Plus,
I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I agree. Anyone over 30 is going to have more baggage than people under 30 as well.
Yep.
Men and women alike. You're more likely to have had a bad previous relationship because you probably have more relationships, more likely to be divorced, more likely to have kids, more likely to everything. You have more life experience. So, like, maybe you're looking for someone that is less likely to have been married and divorced or have kids or whatever the case is. Or maybe you only want to date someone that has younger kids. Maybe you don't want to date someone with like a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old. That's less likely if you're dating people under 30. So
yeah,
I can see it.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with it as long as you don't go on some sort of like angry tirade about all of the people that you don't want and calling them terrible.
Right. But that's the difference in communicating your preference and having a preference. Yeah. Women can say the same thing. I want to date men that are over 30 because men mature later than women.
Yeah. I think it's all about, like, there's also no reason to, like, explain why you have preferences in the public sphere. Like, if, like, maybe
you're more likely to get in trouble.
Yeah, it's also just,
Talk
there's
less.
No point. Like, just, you have your, if you're on your dating apps, you can see the traits that someone has or doesn't have. Like, a lot of those are pretty superficial. Just swipe left. You don't have to be like, so-and-so need not apply.
Right.
I don't know. If you need to do a background check on anybody, you should probably use publicdatacheck.com. Have you ever been in a situation where you need to, like, back check people?
Yeah, I've had you use it for me.
I did.
Yeah, I've been like, hey, can you look this person up? I almost did it yesterday.
No, like, I've had friends call me. This person wants to adopt this dog we're fostering.
Great way to
we
use
want to
it.
Make sure it's a good home, and it's easy. It's like it's unlimited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Publicdatacheck.com.
You have a friend that's been on a couple dates with somebody. It's, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure that it's your female friends are safe.
You want to hire a babysitter for the kids.
That's a great way too.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Make sure the new cleaning lady checks out, the gardener, anything of that nature.
Before you let someone into your home.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
You did one on me.
Used to make employment decisions. I did do one on you. I've done one on every single one of my friends. It is very fun. Anyway, you should get publicdatacheck.com.
Yeah.
I guess this is over and out. We'll see you guys next time.
You're done?
Yeah.